Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome back to another episode of Healing Wisdom with me, your favorite, realist, and of course, on the Dun North says, sexiest spiritual advisor, Empress Oracle. If you don't like the rest of my intro, go ahead and skip it, but please stay for the message. So on behalf of Starseed Galactic Federation, I have been given access to this knowledgeable information from my Akashic records for the purpose of helping humanity. This information has been given directly to me as a divine channel, and any use or reproduction without the proper acknowledgement from where it was received will result in instant karma for the plagiarizing parties and or individuals, and so it is. So now that we have that out the way, guys, I want to talk to you guys. There are a few things that my Father God would like for me to speak to you guys about, but we're going to start with fighting your light. So technically, right now, we're in what I would call the age of darkness, but we're starting to see the light, okay? All of the spells that were cast of illusions, not just for ourselves, but for, certain diasporas, certain areas, certain cultures, those are being broken right now. Right now, we have people actively breaking generational curses that have traveled bloodlines for decades, since back when Jesus was alive. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are down bad who are meant to be the generational curse breakers in their family. And just because life done whooped your ass a few times, you've given up. And a lot of people, they keep getting confronted with the same issues over and over again, and they keep making the same wrong decisions. And I'm going to tell you, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, we all know what that's called, right? Right? Exactly. That's insanity. That's insane. Guys, stop. Oh my God, stop it. Stop. Right? And what people don't realize is a lot of you guys are fighting your light. Yes, a lot of you are fighting your light. You're wondering why you keep on knocking on doors and they're not getting open for you. Yes, I understand a lot of times it takes failing over and over and over again before you reach that success. But let me tell you the difference, how you know if it's going to be a success or not. It's the passion that you have when you do certain things, right? If every time you do it and you just know it's going to fail, maybe you need to do something else. If you know that you're drawn to doing something in the healthcare field, you don't even have to be a doctor, but if you know you're a natural healer, if you know that people, they brighten up when they're around you, you know you raise people's energy, people's vibrations, you know you're some kind of healer. So why are you fighting that? Why are you fighting that? If you don't know what to do, a lot of people need to call on God more. Our Father is listening. He's watching and he's listening. A lot of people need to call on God, ask for the guidance. Because one thing that I've learned in this life is we cannot live it by ourselves. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people, they get down, they get discouraged because they don't know what to do. And they'd rather ask the opinions of everybody else on this earth instead of turning to God. I don't care if you don't believe in God. There's always going to be a point in time in your life when, whether you're an atheist or whatever, you're going to go through something so crucial. The first name that you're going to call on is going to be God. That's how you know God is real. You don't have to be raised in the church. God is inside everybody. It's just a lot of times, a lot of people choose not to listen because they feel as though, well, if God loved me, if this and that, then why am I here and not there? And I've said before in a lot of my lessons that I have put out, you have to have a test in order to have a testimony. So many times people are concerned. They're wondering why some people are born into riches and stuff. Just because you're born into riches does not mean you're blessed. What you have to understand, abundance is more than material things. And a lot of people are not getting that. They see people who they feel like have reached the pinnacle or the height of success. Okay, yes, some of those people, they earned that position. They're good at what they do and they deserve to be there. Other people are born into that. But at the same time, you never know what people are going through behind closed doors. Just because everybody doesn't put their struggles on the internet for people to see, you don't know what people are going through in their private life. Everybody has a story, right? And the majority of the people who have reached the height of success that a lot of others wish to achieve, they have had tests, right? They have had obstacles in their way. A lot of people are self-made. And when I say self-made, I'm not saying somebody didn't discover them or something, but they had to build themselves up. They had to build that confidence up within themselves. They had to have that inner knowing and be sure of that, regardless of what things in their environment told them, regardless of what naysayers said to them. They knew deep within, and they kept walking towards that light, regardless of what darkness was around them, regardless of what struggles, regardless of what obstacles, regardless of what tests. When everything was dark around them, they had that little light inside of them. You remember that song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine"? They let their light shine through the darkness. That light was given to them by God, and they followed that light. They walked by faith, not by sight, and that's how they got to where they want to be. I'm speaking for myself also. So you have to understand, you have to stop fighting your light. Sometimes you know when you're going the wrong way. And because so many people are comfortable in toxic environments, they're comfortable being around things that they're used to, whether it's healthy or not, whether it's safe or not. They'd rather stay on that route knowing they're going in circles or knowing that it's a dead end instead of going on the other side, instead of trying something new, instead of believing in themselves, instead of trying. If at first you don't succeed, try again. The fuck? Because we live in a microwave age, as I call it, where people are so used to, quick fixes, instant gratification, a lot of people don't even really want to put in the effort. Or a lot of people, they're selling their souls and they're selling themselves short for short-lived success. And we see where those people have ended up. We see that. That's why not all money is good money. Not all attention is good attention. And we have to use our discernment, because sometimes we chase things and we really have no idea how detrimental it can be to us. And so many times people blame God when things don't work out. But as I always say, rejection is God's protection. If you keep trying to do something and God keeps telling you no, and you'll know when God is telling you no on something. I'm not saying you try something and you fail. No, that's how you learn. I'm saying when you say, okay, I'm going to do this, and every single step up to doing that thing does not work out. It falls through. Everything breaks. You get delayed. That's God trying to save you from yourself, potentially, from destruction, from losing that little bit of faith that you had. Because when it all falls to shit, that's when people want to turn and blame God. But instead of saying, well, thank you, Lord, for saving me, because who knows what would have happened if that shit would have went through? Who knows? You think it would have been great, but God hears conversations that we don't. He sees people's intentions that we don't. We have to understand that. I totally veered off what I was saying, but that was a message for somebody. But as I was saying, there are a lot of people who feel as though the light that they have burned inside of them, what they truly want to do, which is probably the true calling, they feel as though they're not equipped for it. They feel as though they come from the wrong social class for it. They feel like they don't have enough money for it. They feel like they're in the wrong environment for it. The biggest test is for you to go ahead and do it anyway and trust that God will bring you out of that environment to where you're supposed to be. But you have to study to show thyself approved. You know what that means? Do you know what that means? There are going to be tests. There's levels to this shit. And with every level, there are tests. Because God needs to make sure that you're prepared to handle your blessing. A lot of people know that they're destined for greatness, for big things, truly big things. And although you may feel like you're ready for it at that time, God might know that if he put that blessing in your lap right now, you'd fumble it. The potential that you could have had to make generational wealth will come and go quickly because you caught up in the fads, you caught up in the drama, your focus is not all into your craft, right? So you're supposed to use that time to work on your gifts. Work on your gifts. Perfect your craft. Try other things. If you know you're not in your calling, you know you have a calling to do something, Start out. You don't have to show the world what you're working on. Take your time and perfect your craft. Stop fighting your light. Just because nobody else around you is doing what you were called to do, maybe that's just for you. Maybe you're different. Maybe you're supposed to be the only one that knows how to do that thing. Stop trying to be like everybody else. Stop fighting your light. And then you're wondering why you don't have a way out. Because you don't want to take the way out that God is putting in front of you. You're fighting your light. It's okay to be different. It's okay to step outside the box. It's okay to do something that nobody else around you is doing. Stop worrying about what other people think. Stop moving based off of what is trendy. Stop moving and working in fields just to make the money or just to be accepted. How you know what something is for you is when you are doing it, God provides for you way more than you thought. And you're fulfilled not just externally with material things, but you're fulfilled on the inside to where you're passionate about it. Even if you're not making money off of it starting off, you are passionate about it. It fulfills you. You would rather do that than that high-paying job, even though you're not making anything. That's how you know what your passion is. And you keep on doing it. And God will provide for you. A lot of people are fighting their lights because they feel as though people are going to talk about them. Let me tell you something, Suge. They're going to talk about you regardless, baby. They are. Some people just like to flap their dick suckers. They just like to fucking talk. And then you have other people who they talk, but really they're projecting because they wouldn't dare be bold enough and brave enough to step outside of the box and do something like what you would do. So how dare you be different? So let them talk about you and let them gather up with people and try to put that negative energy out there into the atmosphere to stop you. You don't fight your light. It doesn't matter if other people try to fight it. You don't fight it. That's what's important. They're always going to talk. People are always going to have something to say. And 9 times out of 10, they're talking shit because you were bold enough to do something they couldn't do. Because you found your passion. Because you're not fighting your light. And since you're not fighting your light, they feel as though they have to fight you so that you walk away from your path and your destiny. Right? That's how a lot of people get tricked out of their spots also. You have to know something is for you. Even if you don't know how to go about it, you pray, you ask God to make a way, and He will. And when the opportunity arises, because a lot of times another test that people have is they'll ask for a blessing. They'll ask for an opportunity. And when it shows up, they feel as though they're not ready, or it's not the right time, or that's not the way they want it to go. But what you have to understand is God's will. It's God's way. Why would He want you to take a path that's easy, that you already know? How are you going to learn anything else from that? How are you going to become a master of your craft if you just keep doing the same shit over and over again? How are you going to deal with all different types of situations if you only deal with things one certain way? You know, they always say there's your plan and then there's God's plan. It would behoove you to follow God's plan. Because if you're human, if you're anything like me, you always know God has a sense of humor. And it's not going to go the way you think it is. But the lessons that are learned along the way are highly valuable, priceless to be exact. And in the future, I guarantee you, you're going to meet somebody else who's going to need that advice that you learned on the way to your success. How would you know how to help them if you didn't go through these lessons, right? People, please stop fighting your light. It's time. The world's been wrapped in darkness for too long. People are giving up, and then people are fighting themselves, and then people are fighting the people around them because they are bold enough to walk in their purpose. It's Instead of being a hater, how about you find your passion? Instead of staying in that job, that dead end, that 9 to 5 that you can't stand, and every morning you wake up, you have to damn near force yourself to go to work, and then you're dragging ass and you're miserable every day, sitting there thinking about what you really wish you would be doing. How about you go ahead and do it? What people have to understand also too is baby steps. If you work on something little by little, bit by bit, the way time is going, you blink twice and it's done. It's complete. Why wait? People are waiting for the perfect time. Have we not realized there's nothing perfect? Perfect does not exist in anything. You do your best and you keep doing your best. And that is what is good enough. So apply yourselves and stop fighting your lights. Okay? I expect the best out of you guys because we've already been through the worst. You should be tired of that. I love you. Be safe. Remember what Keisha said.